Hello, everybody. Welcome back to After Curfew. I'm Jillian Lena. Today, we are going to yap about dating advice. We asked you to ask us anything, and we're going to get into your questions today. Okay? So, all right. First question that we have is, how do you know if you should end a relationship? I think it isn't black or white, okay? Like there's so much gray area, especially when you're in love with somebody or you're falling out of love with somebody. I think it's like any relationship, whether it be a friendship, a relationship with your job, yourself, you have to have a real conversation, like internally. You have to ask yourself, is this draining me or is this feeding me? Because yeah, relationships aren't always easy and there's things that are going to come up like conflicts. But if you are with somebody and you're completely depleted and it feels like a task, and I'm not saying, like there's days where you're going to feel off and that's completely normal. But if every single day being with this person feels like it's a task or a chore, it's time to let it go. Like I know in one of my last relationships, I realized that it wasn't for me when I would get off work, and I'm not like someone who just goes to the bar. Like I'm fucking a cast member of Cheers. Why'd I say it like that? Cheerio. So like I was saying, I would go to like sit at a bar, or I would like go be this social butterfly and be like, you want to go grab a drink after work? You want to go grab coffee? I'm going to go on a walk actually. And then I realized I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm avoiding being home because I don't want to be with this person anymore. I completely, like I would walk in and I feel like the energy would just be like sucked out of me. And I think that's when you really know, like there's no more joy. And I still loved that person. At that point, I still was in love with that person, but I knew that that person wasn't my person. And I think that's a really difficult conversation and realization that you need to have with yourself. One thing that I always like to do when I'm in a bad situation, and this can be relationships, jobs, whatever, is write a pros and cons list. And I know it sounds stupid and like, okay, write out a pros and cons list of staying in the relationship or leaving. And whichever one makes the most sense, or whichever one you feel more like you're pulling more towards, that's what you have to go for. But I think even questioning it, and I think that, I don't know how long you guys have been together, but I think, after like 10 years, I'm sure people do wonder like, oh, can I do better? Or like, is there something else out there for me? Am I settling? I don't know. But if you're not giving like equal effort and your partner is not giving equal effort, then I think it's like one of those serious conversations you have to have yourself is like, do I see this long term? And this person could be great. Maybe they're just not great for you. I think knowing that sometimes really good things go sour and there could be an expiration date, but I think already having the question in your head, just think about how you feel. Like, how does your body feel when you're with that person? Are you still giving effort? Do those little things that you used to think were really cute and endearing, are those now annoying and piss you off? Just pay attention to how your body feels, I would say. And you know what's best for yourself and what fuels you. And if you feel like it's no longer giving you that energy, and I'm not saying those like days where you just, you can't be bothered, but consistently you're not feeling the passion, the romance, the vibes, the future. If you can't see it, then let it go for sure. Overall, think about how you feel when you're with that person and how, like, do your goals line up as well? I think that's another big thing. Like, do you guys have the same, I mean, obviously life happens and we all have our own vision of how we expect our lives to go, but there's always going to be curveballs and like different roads and detours. But does what your terms and conditions and the things that you want in your long-term life, like if you want to get married in 5 years, they don't see themselves like getting married, or like they don't want children, you do. I think that's another way to know, like, are we going after the same thing? So sometimes you meet someone and you guys are like this together, and then someone stops and you keep growing or they keep growing, but this person stays stagnant. And I think that's another reason why sometimes like relationships, you kind of feel like, this might not be working. It's like you could still be going up and they could be here, and therefore the distance is a little bit too far. So I would say have a real conversation with yourself and really think about how you feel. Okay, how do you move on from the talking stage? The talking stage usually will last about 3 to 4 months. I feel like that's just like basically like what a situationship is, right? Like there's no labels, you're not bound to each other, but you're talking, You're not exclusive, but you guys are like together and you're trying to take it to the next level. So I don't think there's anything wrong. And I feel like a lot of times, especially as females, we get so scared about saying what the fuck we want. If you want commitment and you want to explore further with this person, if you're like, I mean, don't say that in the first week, obviously. But if you have been talking to this person for several months and you feel like they're on the same wavelength as you and they just haven't said it yet, it's okay to advocate for yourself and speak up and say, I would love to see this go to the next level. I feel like there's like a bad like normally it's like, oh no, we have to wait for the guy to say it, or like I don't think so. I think if it's okay to vocalize the things that you want because you're just trying to get clarity for yourself. And I think if you approach it in that way as well, like, oh, what are we? Like, no, I'm going to tell you how I feel and where I see this going. And if you don't see it the same way, that's cool. That's good information for me. Like as girls, I feel like we do this a lot where we're like waiting around to see how they feel, or like if they're going to ask us, if they're going to say this, if they're going to do that. It's like, it's okay for you to take the lead, because I think that, and I get it, like, too, it's like you want, like, the chivalry, I can't ever say that word, chivalry. I don't know if that was right. But if you're questioning where the situationship is going and you guys have been dating for 4+ months, it's okay to vocalize, like, hey, I'm looking to take this to the next level. Are you? And if they're like, no, then be like, okay, fuck you, bye. Or, like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling the same way. Let's lock it in, babe. But I think, yeah, we just sometimes we're so reserved and we feel like we should wait for the guy to make the first move. But I think if you guys are both in something, you're equal, it's like, just say it. Just say it. Say how you feel and see what happens. I don't know. I think it's like, as I get older, I'm just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, don't waste my time. Like, if I want to pursue this, I'm going to tell you. If I don't, then I'm going to tell you as well. And I just think, like, you're just collecting information for you to live your best life. So if you want to move forward with this and you guys have been in like the talking limbo stage and you want to initiate like, hey, what are we? Like the what are we conversation, you don't need to wait around for a man to do that, period. So we're going to end it on that. Okay, next question. How can I find the love of my life because I'm tired of the single life? Okay, I fucking hate this. When I was single, I felt like this at times too. But then I'm like, you know what? I am in my studio apartment in LA, living my best life. If I want to go out and I want to fucking dance, I want to do this, I want to go make out with someone at the bar, I could do that because I'm single. You're not going to always have that life. You're not always going to be able to do whatever you want. You're going to have to kind of, like once you have a partnership, it's not like you can't do whatever the fuck you want, but there's a certain, rules and regulations that go with having like somebody else there. You're not just thinking about yourself anymore. But I think that enjoying being single and enjoying that time with your girlfriends, fostering your friendships, still going on dates, once you take the pressure out of like, why am I single? Like I have several friends like that where it's like, they're so fixated on finding somebody that it's like when you think like, don't think about an elephant. What are you going to think about? You're going to think about an elephant, right? So it's like when you're thinking, all I'm thinking about is being single and how much I hate being single, you are going to manifest and attract that. So it's like, I love being single. I love my life. I'm happy with where I'm at. Then you're going to meet that same vibration of person. And I know it sounds like really stupid, but I do believe that like when I was so fucking desperate and like on the dating apps, like, why am I single? I feel like I was running into like really like just not good people. Okay. Like really like a bad batch for sure. And I know dating apps are just like kind of anyways, it's like literally like a rotation of the same men over and over again. And I thought it was going to be like crazy in LA. Like there was going to be an assortment. Bitch, let me tell you, not the case. If you're coming from a desperate state of like, why am I single? You're probably going to match with the same type of energy. And I think that when you're content and you're happy with being like alone or like, just like doing your own thing, when people come into your life, like you're going to view the dating app so much different. You're not coming from like, I need to find somebody, so let me like swipe right on all these people. It's like, okay, no, I'm going to be selective. And I'm not saying like everybody is like this, but I just know from my experience, when I was like, I hate being single, I want to find a boyfriend, I was like more accepting of things that I probably wouldn't be accepting of, like I would put up with more shit or like ignore the red flags. And I think sometimes when we're in the woe is me state where we're like, I'll never find anyone, I'm single forever. It's like, yeah, with that attitude, you fucking might be. And I think, and I don't mean that in a mean way because I've been there before too, but I think once you really shift, like, no, being single is dope. And have all these amazing friends and I have this really dope life. Why am I saying dope? I never say dope. Who gives a shit? Okay. But it's like, you're going to level up. I promise you that. So don't ever feel like it's sad to be single. I hate that. I dislike it. And it's like, I don't know, like, I feel like a lot of a lot of our listeners are like in their 20s, early 30s, but it's like, there's like this weird clock that's like ticking and it's not, and this weird pressure to be in a relationship and to have shit figured out. You absolutely do not need to have anything figured out, okay? And it's okay to be single. It's okay to have fun, and it's okay to, yeah, like I just feel like there's like a certain age where it's like, oh, you're single? Like, it's like, no one thinks like that anymore. At least like if you do, go get your head checked because who gives a shit. But yeah, I think don't be so hard on yourself. And like it's like the dumbest thing ever. I know it's like love comes in when you're not looking. It's like, bitch, then let me shut my eyes. But I promise you, yeah, it's like, I feel like I've seen it so many times where people stop putting the desperate energy into dating and they find somebody because you're not thinking about how desperate and how single you are. You're thinking about, wow, I love where I'm at. I love who I am. And you're just owning this era. We all have that one friend that will jump from relationship to relationship. And I think it's so important and sure, maybe they jump from a healthy relationship to another healthy relationship. But a lot of times those people just don't want to be single and they don't want to be lonely. But there is so much beauty into being by yourself. And once you love that part of yourself, like being single, sitting at home, doing whatever the fuck you want, it's such a freeing feeling. And I think everyone should experience it. So if you're in your single era, bitch, who cares? Because you're not always going to be single. But savor those eras because there's going to be a time where it will be the last time that you are living alone, the last time that you're single, the last time that you get to live with your best friends. Like, enjoy it. I think we are so like quick to jump to the next thing. Like, well, I really want to be in a relationship. Okay, cool. And you're going to love that era too, maybe, but enjoy what you have right now because I promise you it will make the next era so much better. Like now that I live with my partner, I'm so happy that I spent 3-4 years living by myself. I got to really know myself, get to really know what it feels like to be alone, but not in a sad way. Alone where it's like I could do whatever the fuck I want. And I think that's something that not everybody gets to experience when they are constantly jumping from relationship to relationship. So enjoy being single. That is all I have to say. Period. Okay. Advice for a long distance relationship. First of all, long distance relationships are so difficult. And if you are in one, like kudos to you because it takes a lot of trust and it takes a lot of effort. I think the best advice that I can give, and I have been in a long distance relationship before, you need to treat every FaceTime, every phone call, every moment that you guys schedule and plan, treat it like it's a date in real life. I felt like a lot of times with my past partner, when I did a long distance relationship, it was like, we're not just like two people dating down the street from each other. So when you skip my FaceTime call, it feels like you stood me up on a date. I think also you need to have so much trust in yourself and be a stable person and trust in your partner, because if there's no trust and you guys are cities away from each other, that's not going to be a good situation. So I think the biggest thing is trust and treating every type of communication very seriously. So like I said, if there's a FaceTime date, treat it like it's an actual date at a restaurant. Don't be late. Don't stand people up. It's just, yeah, you got to have the seriousness as if you were in person. Let's see what else. Okay, this one says, how the fuck do I get bitches? First of all, sir, let's not call us bitches. We're ladies. Okay. And second of all, I will tell you, I feel like I don't even know what the percentage of male audience we have, but this, you know what? Gather around. We're going to talk today and we're going to talk some shit today. So I will give you a step-by-step guide of how to get bitches. Okay. And ladies, if you want to send it to your man, go ahead. So how to get bitches 101 with Jillian Lena. Welcome. Okay. First, clean up your following. Okay. Every girl, I would say 99.999% of women are going to check that following. They're going to check it twice. They're going to find out who's naughty and who's nice. Okay. So definitely clean the following out. You don't need to be following the cheeked up girls. The ass cheeks are out, the titties, the OnlyFans. Like, let's just clean it up. Okay. I would say that is probably setting you apart like 50% more than the average man. Okay. So clean up your following, men. Like, please, please, please. If I could give them any information, it's clean up your social media. Okay, second, make a reservation. Okay, don't just go, I don't care, you can pick, or where should we go? No, 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 no. If you're inviting me on a date, if you're inviting somebody on a date, set it up. Send me the link to the reservation. That's bonus points. Send me an Uber. That is even more bonus points. Okay. If you're asking somebody out, show them that you want to go out with them. Just have a plan and send a link. Show that you care. And also, us girls, okay, we love to look at the menu. We love to look at the interior. At least I'm always going on Yelp and I'm seeing what the vibe is of the place. I'm seeing what kind of cocktails they have. Like, I need to know what I'm getting into. Maybe that's my anxiety, but I like to know what the vibes are, because like I need to know how to dress. So once you send somebody the link, they're going to be able to look at the restaurant, look at the vibes, and know exactly how to dress and feel good. I feel like a lot of times, I've had several dudes on first dates just be like, look cute, I'll pick you up at this time or something. And I'm just like, I just want to know. You know what I mean? Like, I like, save the surprises for when you know me. Like, I need to know what I'm getting into on the first date. I need to know if you're a fucking psychopath, I need to know where the nearest exit is. Okay. This one is like specific for dating apps, but I would say when you're on there, either like a prompt, react to a prompt, or do a photo that isn't the revealing one, because us girls, like, we'll throw in a spicy one, but then we have wholesome photos as well. So if you are just liking, like when I had my dating app, I had like one spicy photo and then I had the rest that were very like wholesome and chill. And if any guy liked the spicy photo, like just, it's like a bikini picture, it wasn't anything crazy. But if anybody liked that, you'd be immediately, most of the time, out of the race, just because I know what you're looking for. Like, you're not thinking with your head, you're thinking with your head. And we don't want that, okay? Moving on. How do you feel about age gaps? I have a 10-year age gap. Is that bad? 20 and 30. Okay, here's my thought. I think that age gaps are fine if you are at a certain age. Like, I think a 20-year-old, like, babe, you are an actual child. You can't even drink yet. Like, if you do drink, you're not supposed to. But I personally think age gaps are fine if they're at a certain age. Like, this person is saying that they're 20, their partner's 30. That to me, I feel like 20 years old, you can't drink yet. You haven't really gotten that much life experience yet. Your frontal lobe is not even developed yet. And you're trying to date somebody who's like around my age, where like I can't even think about like my 30-year-old self dating a 20-year-old. Like, that just wouldn't compute in my brain. I would feel like I would have nothing to talk to this child about. I wouldn't know how to communicate. But I think it's a way different story if it's a 30-year-old dating a 40-year-old or a 40-year-old dating a 50-year-old. And I'm not trying to like give any judgment here either. That's my opinion. It's just my opinion. But I just think that certain ages, once you hit, 28 to 30, I think it's a pretty fair game. But before that, your 20s are like an overstimulation of trying to figure out who you are. And I think dating somebody who's already gone through that is a little bit selfish on their part, because there's just like a lot in your 20s that you experience. And I think with that, such a large age gap at that young of an age, like 20, I don't know. I just think it's a little bit like there's just so much to experience. And yes, you can experience with, your partner, and maybe that is the love of your life. I'm always trying to play like devil's advocate, but okay, if I'm being honest, I don't like it. I'm kidding. I just feel like at 20 years old, you don't have all the tools to be in a relationship that is one of like a 30-year-old relationship, because like in your 30s, you have a pretty good grasp on your triggers, your trauma, the things that you've been through. You've already had one serious relationship under your belt mostly. And as a 20-year-old, you have not even turned into you haven't even gone into the turning lane yet, like you haven't been able to experience all the things that the 30-year-old has experienced. So for me, I just feel like that's just so unbalanced. But again, if it was a 30-year-old to a 40-year-old, those are a little bit more of like an even playing field. So I think it really just like comes down to what ages you're at. I just think that early 20s, you got to figure shit out. And I think a lot of times you got to do it with people that are equal or maybe a little bit older. But I think 20 to 30, I don't know, it just seems like a vast gap to me. That's just, like I said, my opinion. Ooh, okay, wait, this is good. Where is the safest place to date? A hotel bar, Top Golf, etc. Okay. That's actually a really great question. I've never seen that before because it is like, as women, we have to be kind of careful. And I know so many times I've gone on dates and I thought about it after. I'm like, I was such a dumbass, like going back to someone's hotel or going back to their apartment. Sir, I don't fucking know you. I met you off an app. Like, I had a really crazy ass experience with a guy that I met off Hinge. First of all, first date, don't give your home address. I just wasn't thinking, but he said he would pick me up. And I gave him my address. He picks me up. He immediately plays this prank, like this joke. He like locks the doors and he's like driving mentally. And he was like, I was like asking him questions and he was acting like he was kidnapping me. Like, I don't even know how to explain it without just going into the full story, but it scared the fuck out of me. And I immediately messaged my friends, please, 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 please share your location with your friends. Let your friends know who you're going on a date with. Send a photo. Make sure that they know where you're at all times because it is scary. And I feel like we don't think, like, you know, when we're dating, we're not like, we're putting on our rose colored glasses and we're just there for a good time, but be safe. So I would say definitely don't do a hotel and don't get into a guy's car on a first date either, like Uber. You know, it's one thing for them to call you an Uber, but I think, and I, even when like a guy would offer to call me an Uber, I would usually do it to like the next apartment over. So if he is crazy or some shit, you know, goes south, I'm like, you don't really know where I live, but you just got to be safe. And it's like, you know, not everybody's bad, but you have to be mindful because it is a really scary, weird world. And as a girl dating, especially in your young 20s, early 20s, you have to be safe and you have to be smart and not everybody is good and you don't want to be fucking fucked. So, you know, you want to be fucked, but not in that way. But, yeah, the safest place, I would say somewhere public, somewhere like a restaurant where you can meet there, you can have a drink, you can have dinner, and you can leave. I think places where there's other people around, like never, ever, ever, ever go on a hike for a first date. Don't do that. Don't do anything where you would be potentially alone with that person. So even like, I know during COVID and there was like limited times, but I would have people that would ask me to go to their house so they can cook me dinner. I was just like, even though there's this coronavirus, like, sir, you can be a murderer and I would not know. I just wouldn't do it. So just be vigilant. But like, we don't need you to be part of a Law and Order episode. Okay. We need you here. So be smart, share your location, let your friends know who they are, what their name is, a photo of them. Just be smart. But I would say, to wrap up and answer your question, just be somewhere where there's people around. So like you said, Top Golf, that's actually such a fun first date. So cute. And then I would just say, yeah, go to a bar, go to a restaurant, but definitely be safe. Safety first. Okay, so the next question, what is the best way to break up with a guy? I feel like there's just never a good way to break up with anyone. I think it's just one of those things like a Band-Aid. You just got to rip it off. You just got to do it. I think, okay, like the best way to end things is to make it about you, not the other person. Because if you're like, you did this and you did that, unless they like cheated or did some bullshit, like then yes, let them fucking have it. But make it about yourself. Like, I'm not happy. I don't want to do this. I feel like this isn't working for me. You can't argue if somebody is saying, I'm not happy, this isn't working for me, like I don't want to be here. What can you really say? You know, I think that not coming at it in like an accusatory way is the best way to break up with somebody, and just having it be like about yourself, you know, because nobody wants to be kicked when they're down, because obviously you're going to be down if you're broken up with. There's never going to be a right way to do it. There's never going to be a perfect time. And that just comes with anything in life. Like, we're always waiting for this perfect time or moment or way to do something. Like, life is hard and there's going to be really hard things, but it's going to help you. Like, look at this as an exercise. Like, you are leveling up to be a better communicator and you're stating what you want. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to advocate for yourself. You can't really worry about someone else's feelings of how they're going to react when you're in a situation that you're not happy with. I think it's also important to write everything out, like flush everything out in your notes app. How do you want to say it? What do you want to say? Obviously, things are not going to go according to plan. You're not going to like read off a fucking script, but just so you get your like thoughts going of like where you want the conversation to go. And just again, making it about you, because no one can argue your feelings. If you feel that way, your feelings are valid. So if you're not happy, what are they going to say? Like, yes, you are. No, I'm not. Like the conversation would just kind of have to end there. And I think also it's a little bit of a lighter blow to somebody when the focus is on you, where it's not an accusatory state. Like I said, like if you're accusing them, like you're lazy, you're not a good partner, and those things can all be true. But I think if you're trying to do it in the best way possible, you just make it about you and you move on and you heal and deal the way that you can afterwards. But getting out of relationship, there's a song, right? Breaking up is hard to do. Bitch, it's hard. I don't think I've ever once had like a fun breakup in my life. But also, I've never had a dramatic breakup either, but I've always just, it's either it's just like a lot of talking, right? So I think if you just know what you're going to say, you bring all your little notes to the press release and you have everything written down and ready to go, you're going to feel so much better about saying what you need to say. But don't ever stay, and this goes back to the first question that we had, don't ever stay in anything because you're scared to hurt somebody, because you're just hurting yourself. So the longer you wait, the deeper the wound will be. So I would say you got to rip the Band-Aid off. You got to put your big girl pants on. You just have to do it. There's just no easy way. But again, I just think making it about yourself is going to make things so much easier. I promise. Okay, this is good. What is your advice for dealing with a partner who is bad at texting? I feel like we've all dated one or two people that are so awful at texting. You're like, do you like me? Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I even trying? I feel like first, text has no tone, okay? And I think we emphasize too much on the texting. We're like, how are you when you're with the person? Is the person attentive? Are they talking to you? Are they asking the right questions? Okay, then that should give me like enough solace and like comfort that like if they're not good at texting, I know it's not personal. Now, if they're dry as fuck in person and while they're texting, that's a different story. But I think also, I feel like we get so insane about in the beginning stages when you're texting somebody, your day can completely shift. Like your mood will change if you don't get the good morning text or how was your day text. We have to learn how to like let go of that a bit and not have such an emphasis on letting that control your mood. Because I used to be there where if I was talking to a guy and he didn't text me good morning or good afternoon, I'd be done. I'd be like, you don't like me. So like, what are we doing? And I realized that like when you're texting somebody, you get that hit, you get that high and you're so excited, you're giddy, you're smiling at your phone. You're like, that I honestly do not think is good. I don't think it's healthy. I think you should keep texting in the beginning to an absolute fucking minimum because you're going to spiral. You're going to have a mentee B. And trust, I've been there so many times where my day will completely shift if I don't get a good morning text or if I don't get like a, hey, how's your day going text. I will think this person hates me. I will start to act like some type of way when they respond to me. I'll be short. I'll start playing games with them they don't even know they're in the fucking game, It's like, oh, you took 2 hours to respond? Well, watch, I'll respond tomorrow. And it's just so unhealthy and it sets up this like really like anxious dating style that you really don't need to have. I think texting, it's just like, so I'm assuming you guys are somewhat in the beginning stages and you're trying to get to know them. And I think it's fine to text, but I think also when you are waiting on a message and you get that like rush of energy, it just becomes a little bit toxic and a little bit unhealthy. So I think setting a boundary of like, okay, maybe this person's not the best texter. That's great. Like, let's just keep it to maybe FaceTimes or let's just keep it to phone calls or let's just make sure that we're really, really honed in on each other when we're in person. I don't think that because your partner is a bad texter, it doesn't mean that they're not interested. Some people just don't have the time of day to text. And I think we all think that everybody, is yapping away on their phones, but it's really not the case. Like one of my last relationships, we were long distance. So we would talk all day, every day, update each other. So when there was like a slight shift, I would go into anxiety mode. Like I would be sick. I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's been 4 hours. Like, or they went out and I didn't hear from them. It's like, I don't want to ever feel that again. So I practiced like once I was back out in the dating scene, I'm like, I'm not going to text people all the time. I'm not going to wait on their text message. I'll like keep it very vague. I'm not going to be a cunt. I'm not going to be mean, but like, I don't need to tell you my play-by-play. I don't owe that to you. And you don't fucking owe me that. Like, we don't need to be talking so hot and heavy in the beginning. And I think that's where a lot of us fuck up. Like, I don't think that there should be like a back and forth as much as there is. I think when you're getting to know somebody, just keep it, I don't know, just keep it not like surface. Like, I just don't feel like you need to have like these long, aggressive conversations, or like, not even the, like, okay, it's fine to have long, aggressive conversations. Let me backtrack. I think the day-to-day check-ins, like, you were not a part of my life 5 days ago or like a week ago. Why do you need to be a part of, like, you're putting yourself in my day-to-day schedule. So it's like, we're all creatures of habit. So like, if you're texting me good morning for the past 7 days and on day 8 you don't, you best believe I'm going to have a fucking mental breakdown. So it's like, just setting the boundary of like, we don't need to talk every day is it's kind of freeing. I don't know. Maybe that's just me personally, but I just don't think that there needs to be this set, consistent conversation, because it will just get you wired to believe that this person should reach out to you every day, but they don't owe you shit, you know? So I think just learning the healthy boundaries of what you can handle. So if the text messages are inconsistent, like, you need to learn how to self-soothe and be cool with that. And if you're not, then you got to chill on the texting, you know? Like, don't maybe say like, I'm not a big texter. I don't really like to text. Set the tone for yourself, you know? If you can't handle it, don't put yourself in the situation. Oh, okay. This is actually a really good one. What is the best advice for keeping your independence while in a relationship? Listen, I think one of the worst things that you can do is to get into a relationship and forget about who you are, forgetting about the relationship that you have with yourself, your friends, your family, your hobbies, the things that you like to do. You don't completely shift your whole persona into like I've seen it so many times where people will get into relationships and you completely lose who you are. Those things that are important to you, don't let them get lost. I know relationships, like, especially in the beginning, like, you're in the honeymoon stage and like everything's about that person, you're obsessed with them. I get it. But always come back to the things that are important to you. Always foster your friendships, because when that shit goes south, or if it goes south, knock on wood, who's going to be there? You know, you have to keep up with your friends. You have to make sure that you're keeping up with yourself as well. Just always check in with yourself and carve out time. As if you're scheduling stuff for work or you're scheduling a date, schedule time for yourself. Like, I do that in my relationship. I will make sure that I have time to do my vlogs, or make sure that I have time to watch my favorite shows. Like, you still have to come back to yourself, find time for your friends, because again, you don't want to completely lose yourself in a relationship. So like, the little hobbies, the things that you like to do, the friendships, keep them up, because those things were there and they still will be there. And even if the relationship doesn't work out, they'll be there after. So we're going to end it on this one, but what is your advice for knowing your worth while dating? I think understanding and learning your worth while dating comes through experience, because 21-year-old me, I did not know my fucking worth. I let people run me over with a fucking car and disrespect me. But the more you go through dating and you're figuring out what you want, what you don't want, you will start setting like firmer boundaries with yourself. And I think it comes with also just loving yourself. Like, at the end of the day, how you date is a reflection of how you love yourself. If you are fostering the relationship that you have with yourself, it's going to reflect. Like, people always will say, you are the person closest to you, something like that. And it's so true. Your partner is a reflection of you. So if you're running into shitty people, you need to check yourself. And I'm not saying all the time. There's can be a guy who's a complete love bomber and you get bamboozled. But I think understanding who you are and having a good sense of what you want and what you don't want, like laying down your clear boundaries, is the best thing that you can do for yourself when you're dating. I would write down what I want, what I don't want, and always go back to that list and always check it. And if I was off of that list of the things that I said that I want and I value, and if that list was off, I wouldn't put up with it. And I got so much better at doing that with the practice of dating. But I think it's just important to really work on the relationship that you have with yourself. Going back to even the single era that we talked about earlier, loving that time that you get to spend with yourself. It's so important, because it will make you a better communicator. It will make you a better partner, and it will make you communicative of like what you want and what you don't, what you'll stand for, what you won't. If you wouldn't recommend it to your best friend, don't do it for yourself, right? So if you're in something that is shitty and you know there's red flags, if you wouldn't recommend that situationship, relationship, whatever to your best friend, why are you putting yourself in that? I think just having those real conversations with yourself is how you will find your self-worth in dating. Also, just know that you are allowed to take up space. You're allowed to be vocal. You're allowed to say the things that you want and what you don't want. I think that comes with age, but you have to advocate for yourself, okay? And you have to take up space and communicate for yourself and rally for yourself the way that you would do for your best friend. The biggest thing overall is the love that you give and the effort that you give to people. Make sure that you're always giving it back to yourself. So if you're putting yourself in bad situations, check yourself, okay? And get yourself out of it, and then set a boundary and make sure the next time you're in a situation like that, now you have the playbook, you know that you're not going to deal with that. I think it's just, advocating for yourself. And I think overall, just know that you are one of one. You're an amazing person and you deserve the best. So if you ever feel like somebody is not meeting your expectations or giving you less than you deserve, it's okay to let it go. I think a lot of times we try to hold on to something because we've been in it for X amount of time or we think that's what we want. No, if you feel disrespected and you don't feel like something's right for you, communicate it and always go back to what you stand for, because the people that hate your boundaries are the ones that are trying to push them. And everybody else who's a good person for you and is aligned with you will understand your boundaries and respect them. So I think it's just, if you ever feel disrespected, just know that that's probably not the best situation or person for you. So we're going to end it there. I really hope this episode helped you. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you all next week.